here with Half Dozen Customs. We're back out here. Oh, excuse me. We're back out here on the Jeep today. Left off last night with getting the dashboard all primed up. We got that unmasked this morning, and that looks good. So now we're gonna work on this radiator. I had already started on it, and was like, crap, I need to video. So this was what was there before, and this was bent up. You can kind of see the line here. So this was bent up so that it was like a C channel, and that's what I started doing. I put these in the vise and I straightened them back out. And then they had this piece of rubber tire or something through it with a Phillips head screw and a washer, and that's what the radiator sat in. So we have the radiator here. This is the new radiator. And you know, I checked this on the bottom of the radiator, and you can kind of see like where the tire's sitting, like way too big. So that's why I have removed that tire. The tire's not gonna get used. These are the upper ones here. We're gonna use these. We just need to paint them black. But see how there's this nice foam in here? So that's what we're gonna do with these. We're gonna line these with that same kind of foam. But I'm gonna rebend these to fit the bottom of the radiator and leave enough room for us to put that foam in here so that it's a nice snug fit. And then we're gonna clean these up so that they match. You can see one is bigger than the other. So we'll clean these up so that they match, so that they're nice and straight. We're gonna round off the edges. We'll get rid of all these sharp edges. We'll trim this up. And then, I think like here we'll do a hole and a hole, and we'll do it on all four sides, just so that it looks nice in there and looks like something that was purchased and not made out of a piece of aluminum. So that's that's where we're gonna start. I was looking at the foam earlier, and this is 1/4 inch, so I think that's what we're gonna order. We'll end up replacing this foam in here as well. We'll put nice new foam in there. So that's 1/4 inch. We're gonna order 1/4 inch. We'll do the same thing on the bottom. And then these, once we get these bent up and cleaned up, we'll figure out where we want them on the truck. We'll figure out where we want these on the truck, and we'll mark the holes, and we'll drill and tap the truck. Now we're probably gonna have to get some kind of flat style bolt or whatnot. So actually it doesn't matter. There's a lip on the bottom just like this. So as long as we have the bolts in here, these brackets are going to sit across here, and yeah, the bolt won't matter. We'll clear anything that we do with that bolt. So what do we want to do first? Should we... So I think, let me get a marker. So I want this to be a nice tight fit, but I don't want it to be so tight that, you know, we're ripping the foam up when we're putting it in place. So now we got these marked out. So we'll use a straight edge. Use a straight edge, and we'll make sure that it's nowhere near being straight. So I'm gonna do, so where this line is drawn, we have cardboard on each side with some tape. You see, cardboard, some tape. So that's adding a little extra give. And then if we're gonna do 1/4 inch foam on each side, that'll give us a 1/2 inch. So I think if we measure out a 1/2 inch on each side. So now we can put our bend in there on those lines. That should give us plenty. So, got some nice bends in those now. Now, these being aluminum, I'm probably just going to throw them in the blast cabinet and we'll blast them up and get them all nice, clean, and uniform after we're done with it here. But we could always polish these as well. I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna knock this out. We're gonna rebend these. All right. So as I was saying, I think we're gonna redo this bend as well, just so that they match. You know, we have a nice bend here, and then we have a round bend here that looks like, you know, maybe it was bent over in a vise like this. So this is how I straightened out the other side. All right, let's see how they, see if they fit a little better. For one, now we have nice clean bends on both sides. And for 2, when I put this on here before, we had quite a bit of room. So, you know, like I said, I'd like it to be a tight fit, but I don't want to have to force it in place. It just needs to kind of snug this. Okay, so I'm happier with the way that those fit. Now, let's see what we can do about making them look better. Now, I don't necessarily care about those holes. When this gets mounted down to the truck, you won't see the hole on this side. And once we put the funky foam in here, you won't see the hole on this side. So that hole, these holes, you can see that they're off. They're not even welded, or they're not even drilled in the same spots. So once we get these made to what I want them to be, we'll re-drill those holes and we'll put them in the center. Those holes can stay. You won't ever know that they're there. So, so let's see. I don't want them this long. So they're about 4 inches. I think we can knock them down to 3 inches. So now, how tall do we want these? We're gonna do 2 inches, so they'll be 2 by 3. Okay, so this would be a good time to have a bandsaw, but I do not. So we're gonna go clamp these over in the vise, and we're gonna use a whiz wheel to cut them. I need to charge up the compressor, so we will be right back. Okay, so we got these cut up. You can see I've remarked this one, and it's because we were right on that hole. Like I said, I don't really care where the holes are, as long as they're somewhat centered. You know, I think he's pretty close to being centered. This one we'll have to re-drill, but let's get these over on the belt sander, and we'll clean them up. We'll make sure that they're straight. We'll make sure that we got round edges, and yeah, we'll make them pretty now. So now we have these guys. I think they look good. We'll clean them up a little bit. Like I said, I think I want to drill a couple holes in these just so that they look a little more professional. So I think we'll, I'm gonna grab my grinder. We'll just clean up these edges again a little bit. So let's see about drilling some holes in here. So we got these at 2 inches. So I think you know, we'll do 1 inch, which is the center. Measuring from my bent end because we know that that end is straight from the brake. So now we got 3 inches across. Roughly we're a little short of 3 inches now after grinding them down, but they both match, so that's good. Now remember, these serve no purpose, they're just for looks. Let's drill some holes and then we'll just going to start with a small bit, drill some pilot holes, and then we'll come in with the step bits. Maybe we'll do this in the vise. Make life a little easier and a little safer. I'll start with this one. In worst case scenario, I have a bigger one we can go up to if I'm not happy with it. Give it some nice beveled edges. I think it needs another one. Smaller one up in the top. It looks good, but could it be more? We'll go right in the center of the two. The smaller one. horrible looking, and it's, you know, I think it's better than just nothing. It'll look good with the black behind it. Better than what was there, that's for sure. And, you know, I don't know, I was just thinking while I was over there drilling these holes, you know, we got to paint those black. Maybe we'll paint those black too. That way they both match. You don't have black on the top and then aluminum on the bottom. So, now we gotta get this off in here. You know, grinder don't really fit too well in there. Can I get in there with the little guy? No, it doesn't look like it. We're just gonna have to get a file those down. Okay, so I grabbed a file. I started filing in there when the battery died, but I had a good idea of just using the step bit inside. There's a little extension on it. Alright, I'm gonna throw these in the blast cabinet. We'll blast them up real quick, see what they look like when they come out. Yeah. I almost want to say, like, I want to do a brushed look on them, like take some sandpaper and run across them and make them look nice. But there's, you know, the old creases from where it was bent, and a couple of spots. There's some pitting around here. I don't know that it would look good. I think it looks as good as it's gonna get. I think that those came out pretty sharp for just being, you know, some recycled junk. I mean, that's what was on the truck when it came in here, and it was not the you know, it worked, but it wasn't the best setup. So I think we kind of reinvented the wheel there with those. I think that these are, you know, good. We'll set them on here. We'll see where the, you know, where the holes line up. Yeah, see, we're clear in there. We could just use those holes. It's no big deal. And nut and bolt it down. We don't have to get no fancy screws or anything like that. So basically these are going to go down here like so. I'll have to measure everything up so that we're good and square. That holds those out pretty far. And I think these are taller. This radiator might be a little taller than it was the last time. So it looks like we're gonna have to do some modifying on the top here as well. That was unexpected. I thought that those would just bolt back on and we'd be good to go. But I think this radiator's taller than the old one. Which, I mean, it would, you know, it makes sense. The old one was for 350, this one's for an LS. You know, about 20 inches tall. Yeah, so this one's 20 inches, the other one's 19, and it has these giant foam blocks glued to the top of the radiator where these were sitting. One thing that's going on that I don't like how this is sitting. So we needed this. We measured and trimmed and did everything so that this radiator would sit flush up against here, so that we had clearance for the belts, the pulleys, and possibly a fan. Worst case scenario, not that we want to do this because I don't want to see it, and I know my buddy doesn't want to see it, but we may have no choice. But the aluminum fan may have to go inside here, or I'm sorry, not the aluminum fan, but just the fan itself might have to go in here, the electric fan. But definitely isn't going to go out here with where it's sitting now. I like how these are set up. It's just not going to work for our application here. So if you look, they just got a piece of angle iron bolted here, and that's what's giving you your nice little C channel. So I'm thinking we'll have to straighten out this bend, make this back out this way, and we'll have to put the bend down a little lower. But that's not gonna... So I could see still using this angle iron. We'll just flip it around so that it's in here, and then I think we'll have to straighten all this out. I don't think I have any of this just laying around. I'll have to take a look to make new ones. I think we'll have to just repurpose these, straighten them out. I want to make the same thing that they have here, but I think that the bend will come up here and then go over, and it'll be a shorter bend. So, but yeah, I'm gonna, now that I can kind of see where we're headed with this. Bottom ones are good. I'm happy with the bottom ones. But now we gotta reinvent the top ones. After setting up these upper radiator brackets and seeing that they don't really work with the new radiator, that they would need to be modified to work. Instead of spending a bunch of time making these work, I'm just gonna put these back on the shelf, and we're gonna make something way cooler. So I'm really happy with the way that the lower ones turned out and they look. Wait, excuse me. Hanging you guys off the thing. So I don't. Yeah. Let me pop you guys out here so I can show you. So I'm really happy with the way that these turned out and look down there. They look really good. So what we're gonna do, I have a whole bunch of this aluminum. It's the same aluminum that they use to make that lower section. This is actually the aluminum that is out of the floor of the bed. It's what they had in there, and we took it out. We put a metal floor in there. So I have a whole bunch of this aluminum laying around, and I've slowly been picking at it and using it for other projects. You can see that this hole that's cut out in there is the sign for the top of the gas pump that blew over earlier this morning. So I'm thinking what we're gonna do here. Grab you back over here. So what I'm thinking is that we're gonna come like straight across from here all the way over. We can utilize these original bolts for the latch to bolt it down, and we'll use these bolt holes that they have here for these brackets to bolt it down as well. And I'm thinking that will come out to the edge of this, and we'll drop down on an angle a little bit. Now I want this radiator closer to this. Like, I barely want to be able to stick my finger in here. I don't want it touching, but this is too far. So we're gonna bring it in closer. We're gonna come down on an angle to the top of the radiator, and then we'll come over and we'll come down. And then we'll drill a bunch of holes going across it to match those holes down there. Maybe we'll do little bit bigger of a hole, not by much. Like, you can see the shiny parts on this bit. This is the size of the holes that we have in there now. I'm thinking that we go all the way up to this. That way I can still use this last one to bevel the edges of the hole, just like we beveled the edges of the hole on those other pieces. So we won't go any deeper than that. So that's, there'll be, a 15/16 hole with a 3/4 inch bevel around it. So, and we can do those all the way across the top of the radiator. That way some of the heat can vent out of there. Is it really gonna make that much of a difference? Probably not, but it'll look cool and help with some ventilation. Maybe on the angle part down, where we angle from the actual core support down to the radiator. Maybe we'll put a couple across there for aesthetics. But I'm thinking we'll build that, and then I'll build a similar setup to this part here, and we'll make that out of aluminum as well. That we can put our funky foam in, and then that will go underneath this top piece, and we'll just pop a couple of aluminum rivets in it. I have plenty of rivets around here. It'll match, it'll look good. And I think it'll be awesome. It'll cover up all this garbage that they have cut up here. My plan was to take some of that black rubber door edge guard everybody used to, like, you know, put along the edge of their door back in the 80s and 90s, which we still will, you know, and I'm gonna come up the sides with it, and then I was gonna go all the way around, but you can see there's these little dips in here that, you know, it wouldn't go around, so you would have had to end here and then pick it back up here. And this isn't cut right, nor is it clean or anything like that. And the metal's so thin here that if I cleaned it up, it would no longer be connected there. So it'll just cover all that and make it look so much nicer, so much cleaner, and it'll have a nice custom look to it. So enough explaining what I'm gonna do, and let's get to it. Okay, so I have this piece laid out. I took some measurements, 22 inches long, and that's long. The reason that I want to do 22 inches long at the moment is because I want to have enough here. So where the radiator fill neck is, we're going to be coming right along the edge of the radiator fill neck, and then it's going to have to be kind of notched out for the radiator fill neck. So I measured 22 inches long. That gets us past the fill neck, so that way we can run a hole saw through it, and then I can cut it and trim it, and we have a nice clean hole. All right, we're back out here. Had some people stop by, so. Okay, so this is kind of what I had in my so this is what I got in my head, you know, and I'm thinking nice speed holes across here, you know, we can maybe do some across the front, we can maybe do some across here, you know, I mean we can go whole crazy on this thing if we want. But I'm not happy with the way this thing's fitting. Like we're almost sitting on the radiator support here, but not here. And I don't think that it's our bends because we measured everything out. I think our bends are good. We definitely won't have it this long here. Like, we'll trim this up. So I think we're gonna have to make this again. You know, not a huge deal. I got plenty of this aluminum. It wasn't horrible to make. I think this area here needs to be, I don't know, probably 1/2 inch shorter. So, and then I also think that this probably needs to be a 1/2 inch longer. So we need to take the 1/2 inch from here and put it here. Cause right now, like, it's a snug fit up against the radiator, and the radiator is leaned back and it's leaned up against our core support, and we don't want that. So, first test was a successful test, I would say. Not a successful outcome. But I mean, I guess it was a successful outcome. We have, you know, we have our measurements that we need now. So, and I think that I want to go longer. You know, if you look, like, we got a 1/2 inch out there and a 1/2 inch out here. So I think I would like to bring it out so that it's the same size as that. Yesterday we we left off with me trying to bend up a piece of aluminum for like a top radiator cover support, you know, / radiator tie down type of piece. And you know, we were off on some of our measurements, which was fine. You know, I have plenty of this aluminum around. It came from the original floor bed that came in here, which we are not using. So, you know, we have plenty of it to remake this piece. But the more I just looked at the design that we had, we're not headed down the correct path. I wasn't happy with it the more that I looked at it. It was just too much. Too many bends. I didn't like, you know, my original idea. So I had Colleen come out here last night and kind of look at, you know, that piece that we had bent up, and kind of talked with her about how, like, you know, it needs to be lengthened here and shortened here and lengthened here and this and that. And she, you know, she's like, you know, when you were telling me what you were doing, it's not what I had pictured. You know, I think it's, you know, you're not going the right direction with this. So we kind of sat out here for a little bit, and we kind of brainstormed and powwowed and went over some things. And she had some really good ideas. So in order to tie for one, first we're going to start with this. So this piece that we made here, we're happy with these. These look good. But we think that the radiator needs to be elevated up higher. Reason being is because I don't have the radiator in there now. So last night when we were looking at this and we had the radiator sitting in here on our pieces. Now we're putting 1/4 inch foam in here so that the radiator is actually sitting in foam. So we know that the radiator will be elevated probably about 1/8 of an inch, because yes, we're using 1/4 inch foam, but once you get the radiator set in there and it actually settles and the foam starts to compress from the shape of the radiator, we're probably only going to get about 1/8 inch of actual lift or cushion in there. And when we had the radiator sitting in here, the radiator sat down probably about here. And you could see inside here, you could see this ugly cut that was from a previous construction of this. And that's why we were trying to make this panel come down and kind of cover over all this ugliness. There was a huge gap between the radiator and the top of this, and it's all cut and ugly, and we just wanted to make something pretty that held down the radiator and covered all this ugliness. So our little step down thing that we had going on was just too much. For one, I think it needs to go all the way in here and cover this whole thing. Not that little, 2-inch strip that we had here. I think it needs to go the whole way. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna step it down just on an angle and then down over the edge of the radiator. So no more of this step down, step over, step down type thing. It's just gonna be one gradual step down and then a bend over the radiator. And then we can do, I'm thinking that we'll do 2 of them. We'll do one in the aluminum with the speed holes going across it, and then we'll do one out of metal that'll have like maybe a nice bead roll, a couple of like beads in here, something that matches the truck, that would look good, that we could then paint the color of the truck. And then I'll let my buddy decide whether he wants the fancy aluminum piece or he just wants a painted piece of metal. I have a feeling he's going to go with the painted piece of metal, but I'll give him the option. But the one thing that Colleen discussed with me last night was that the radiator needs to come up higher. So we set a 2x4 down here on the cross member and set the radiator on top of the 2x4, and it was too high, so it doesn't need to go up as high as a radiator or as a 2x4, but once we elevated that radiator, it covered all this cut up ugliness. So if we can bring the radiator up to where it's just below this and then just come over with a flat sheet and then down a little bit, then we're good. So we don't even necessarily need to have a step down. We could just come out with a flat piece if we bring the radiator level with this or close to it, and it covers everything up. Just lifting up that radiator, it changed the whole look in here and it looked so much better. But I still don't want to see the top of the radiator when you look in here. Most cars have a core support that the radiator fits inside the core support. So when you open up the hood and you look in there, you see the core support going across. You don't see the radiator. So I don't want to see that radiator. To me, that's tacky. So we're going to make sure that we don't see the radiator. But another great idea that Colleen had was that we don't need to support the radiator at the top. and she pointed out that we have these holes down here from something previous that they had here. They had this aluminum thing that went around here that the radiator sat up against. It was almost like a fan shroud type of setup that kind of covered over the radiator, and we removed that. It looked horrible, but these holes are left over from it. So now this isn't like what we're gonna do. We're gonna make something out of aluminum. It'll be thicker. It'll have some speed holes in it like what we did in this, but we can mount it to this hole here, and it can support the radiator down here. So we don't need to worry about, you know, supporting the radiator up at the top up here. We can support it down here, and that'll keep the radiator from being able to move back and forth. It'll be down low. We'll have a nice aluminum piece that looks good, that has that 1/4 inch foam in there, supports the radiator, and that's good. So right now, what I'm gonna work on is we are going to cut. I have 6 marked out right now, and we can always use less or use more, whatever we need to do. And what I did was I cut out a cardboard template, and this fits down inside here. So we will cut out 6 aluminum things. It may be 8, it may be 10, I don't know. It depends on how high I need to lift the radiator. But then we can stack these aluminum blocks in here, drill a hole all the way through all the stack of aluminum, and then that'll get bolted down, and then we put our 1/4 inch foam inside that, and we can raise the radiator up that inside this channel. So I would rather do that than try and put a spacer or build a block or something underneath it. I mean, I guess it could go underneath it, but I think it would look better being inside it than underneath it. So that's what we're gonna work on right now. We're gonna get that radiator lifted up to where, you know, I'm happy with it. Lifted up to where, you know, we're just under level with the top of that radiator support in there. And then once we get that done, then we'll bend up some nice brackets to mount from the side, like I was showing you. We'll get those all nice and cleaned up with some speed holes in them and make them look professional. And then the radiator is mounted in there. And worst case scenario, we don't do anything with the top, and at least the radiator looks good in there. I would still like to make that cover for the top so that it looks nice in there, but without that being there, the radiator is done and supported. So that's where we're gonna go next. We are gonna make sure that the radiator is finished, supported, mounted in there, not going anywhere. We're good to go. Then we can focus on making a beauty plate for the top. So that's the direction that we're headed. I think it's a good direction. I think it's a better direction than we were headed last night. Thank you to Colleen for coming out here and kind of brainstorming with me and giving me her ideas. And once again, her ideas, I think, seem to be the better idea. Sometimes you need somebody from outside your point of view to come in and kind of give you their point of view, and because sometimes you just get a mental block and you're not sure where to go. Colleen, I had talked with Keegan about building a waterfall style center console in this Jeep to house his gauges and maybe a sub, his ignition, the headlight switch, whatnot. And though I would have made that and it would have looked cool in there, it did kind of seem like it was a little out of place for the vehicle. My buddy who owns the truck was okay with me building it and installing it in the truck because we needed somewhere to put the gauges and the ignition and the headlight switch. The sub was kind of an afterthought, but he was okay with it because we needed somewhere to put that stuff. And Colleen came out and said, why are you doing it as a center console? Why don't you make a dashboard extension piece that just makes the dashboard a little bit longer and you can run everything in that piece? And I was like, that's brilliant. What a great idea. And you guys have seen how the dashboard came out. It came out absolutely awesome. Now, you know, it was my design and I'm the one who worked it and made it look the way that it does, but it was Colleen's idea that led to that. So, you know, bringing that outside source in to kind of give you some ideas and tell you what they think sometimes gets you past that mental block and gets you a better result in the end. The dashboard was a perfect example of that, and I think that the direction that we are headed now with this Radiator is gonna lead to the same outcome where it's just going to be a better overall product at the end. So, you know, if you're stumped, I have somebody else come in and take a look at what you're doing and you know, take their ideas and maybe you can mix the two ideas, what you had going and what they think, and come up with something better. So sometimes it's good to get out of your own head and see it from somebody else's point of view. So with that being said, let's get to cutting some of this aluminum here and work on building some stilts for this radiator support. So okay, so we're back out here. I made some more of those square plates. I didn't video it because you guys watched me make the ones, but I made some more, and we got it up as high as I'm gonna get it or put it with these blocks. I can make more, but I'm tired of wasting my time making these. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill a hole in the center so that we can get it bolted down, and I have these like 1/4 inch thick spacers that we'll put underneath. It'll just hold this up just a little bit off of that thing, and that should be good enough to get us what we need. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. Not gonna try and reinvent anything here. Okay, I'm gonna find some bolts that'll go through everything and get my tap ready, and we'll be back. Okay. So you've seen that we had marked out our thing where I wanted them to sit. Now we are going to drill and tap. All right. Well, those are in, like, you know, they're in hand tight. They're not tightened all the way down. But I think it looks good. And they don't look bad elevated up a little bit like they are. So I like them. I think they look good. So I think maybe the aluminum stack that we made, the little plates that we made to stack them up, I think I'm probably gonna paint those black. Just so that they're less noticeable, because when we put the foam in there, the foam is black. So when we only had a few in there, like, you couldn't notice them, but now there's more than a few in there and I can see them now. I don't want to be able to see them, so I think if we paint them black, they won't be seen. You know, we'll leave the bracket itself aluminum. But we'll paint those stacks black. Yeah. So I think that looks good. Now I think we can work on making these side ones. So no, we're gonna. You know, this was just a rough estimate to show you guys what we were thinking earlier, but you know, that's basically what we're gonna build. You know, we'll obviously make it thicker, but it's just gonna go on like that, and I'll bolt on, and I think we'll be good to go. Again, it'll get the foam. So once I get that figured out, where we're gonna go with that, or you know what, I'll probably catch back up with you guys after we have them made. I mean, you've seen me, you know, in the last couple days cutting aluminum. You've seen me bending aluminum. You've seen me drilling holes in it. It's the exact same thing I'm about to do now. Just another piece. So instead of videoing it, I think I'm gonna shut down the camera and we'll just get these pieces done, and then I'll turn it back on when we're getting ready to bolt it in. So if anything's exciting going on, I'll turn you on. Till then, I'll be right back. We've been back out here working on the Jeep tonight, and I totally forgot to turn on the camera. We remade those brackets that we made yesterday for the side. I wasn't happy how flimsy they were. So I came out here and I made one, and I just wanted to see if it was going to work, if it, you know, got less flimsy. And then I was going to film making the second one, and I was on a roll. I just kept going. So here's what we did. So instead of a 2-inch strap, we did a 6-inch strap. So, and it's got a much larger footprint here instead of just a 2-inch piece. So it is so much sturdier than it was before. And you know, all that movement is coming from here. You know, it's not coming from these. So, but much happier with that. I think it looks good. You know, we'll have to see what my buddy thinks of them. If he likes them, you know, maybe it's a bit much for his liking. I don't know. I think that they look good. Colleen says they look good. I'm not worried about the radiator moving around now. I did order the foam for them, and so I got 1/4-inch foam to go inside the channels, and then for the bottom of these channels down here, I was able to get 3/4-inch foam. So all those aluminum plates that we made in there to kind of lift the radiator up some, I should be able to take those out and then use the foam. So this stuff, it's a very dense foam. You know, it's this stuff that's on here, and I mean, like, it is super thick, dense foam. So, you know, worst case scenario, we could put a 1/4-inch and a 3/4-inch piece together and you know, get even more raise out of the radiator if we need to. You know, I don't think it needs to be much higher than it is right now. I think, you know, it's much better. I mean, it can maybe go up a little bit, but like I said, I'm still planning on making a nice cover for that. So we will work on that this weekend, and see what we come up with. Like I said, I'm gonna make one out of aluminum, and then we're gonna make one out of metal. Hopefully, I think, me personally, I think making the top piece out of aluminum will help tie everything together and make it look really sharp. But I don't know. You know, my buddy that owns the truck may say just paint everything blue and he'll be happy. So who knows? We'll see, but I like it. It looks good. We left off yesterday with completing these side brackets for the radiator. I did get part of the foam tonight. I got the foam that the radiator sits on, but I'm still waiting on the foam that actually goes on like the sides of our brackets. So we can't do that quite yet tonight. But I think that I'm going to start with some poster board, and we're going to make some templates for this top beauty plate / holder. So let's I got a couple of just scrap leftover pieces of construction board. I have brand new sheets of it, but let's just use up this couple of scrap things that we got and see if we can make something and make something cool. So let's get to it. So that's you know, I think that's about what we're looking at. So, you know, the aluminum piece, we'll do some holes across there. The metal piece, we'll do a bead roll across there. But now we have a template that we can go off of. You know, around here may need, you know, I think we'll have to probably do some trimming, you know, to actually get it to fit once we get it all cut out. All right, well, we'll get the aluminum over here, and we'll get that marked out and cut out. And then we'll have fun bending that again. You guys remember what we went through the other night bending it. Maybe at the beginning of this video, may not, I don't know. But so, and then I think once we get this cut and we get it fitting, then we'll take this piece of paper and we'll go through, like, there's a bolt, you know, there's a bolt, there's a bolt, there's a bolt. So then we'll mark out where the bolt holes go, and then we'll have to mark out where the hood thing latches. Fun, fun, fun. All right, we'll be back. Alright, I don't know where we left off. I don't know if you guys died in the middle of that or I shut you off and forgot to turn you back on. There was some juice left in the battery, but not a whole lot, so I don't know which of the two happened, but have been slowly just grinding away and trimming this out until it fit. And it is a nice, tight, snug fit all the way along. So I'm super happy with that fit. What I'm gonna do before we do any bends or anything in this, I'm gonna go transfer that over to a piece of metal, because it is, I mean, I worked it till it's perfect. So I don't want to lose that. That is a perfect template. So we're gonna go trace that over onto a piece of metal, and then we'll continue on with where we're gonna go with this. So, you know, I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do with this, you know, because this little circle that we have traced out is the same size as this, and we need to get a cap on it. And this does not sit lower than this to be able to put a cap on it. So I'm not sure what we're gonna have to do here. We may end up having to like curve this off and just lose this whole corner. You know, I'm not quite sure. You know, I'm not really happy about having to lose that whole corner, but you know, there's gonna be a bend put in it like right here. So, you know, what am I gonna do? This big circle, and then just have this little section right here that is bent over, and then this thing, when it gets bent over, we're gonna be running into this guy here. So then you'd have to notch out again for this guy. I don't know. It may just be better to just do a nice curve and then a straight line out, and you know, not try and just go around everything. So, but like I said, I'm gonna go transfer this over, and then we'll go from there. I think we're gonna figure out, you know, for one, we need to figure out where we're gonna do our bend. Like I said, probably in here. And I'm debating on whether or not we should put a slight bend across here, so that it's not just all a flat panel. You know, it kind of comes over, tilts down just a hair, and then bends over. We talked about that the other day about doing that, but we raised the radiator up, so the radiator is not sitting way down where it was, where that other bend would have been like necessary. Now I think it's just an aesthetic thing, just for looks. So, but like I said, we'll be back. I'm gonna try and figure some more of this out. Alright, so I got this marked out. I did trace this over onto a piece of metal. This first line is just our slight bend to it, and the second line is going to be our hard bend that actually caps over the top of the radiator. So I have to go get my pipe again. And I'm wondering, now that I have this in here, if we take the torch and, you know, just my bottle torch, and run across there and kind of maybe warm up that aluminum, will it bend a little easier? I marked out a circle here. Hopefully we can safely get the radiator cap on and off with that circle there. And then I got a little notch here for the overflow tube. I'm going to attempt to cut this out with this. We'll see how it works. Technically, I should have left this thing a few inches longer on this side, and then we could have hole sawed it out and then trimmed it down. That's what we did on the last piece. I don't know if you remember the last piece that we gave up on, but let's see if this will work. Alright, not too bad. I think we need to take a little bit more out of here. Unfortunately, I didn't even think about it, but when we marked this for this tube, it was sitting up on top of this. Now that it's sitting lower, it's in a different spot. But we'll clean that up and round that up. And then I think we need to take we'll take the black line off coming around. Just to give us a little more room. So, and we got, we also got, we got all the foam in today for these hold downs. So we'll have to see how everything fits. I think we may need to maybe just drop the radiator down just a little bit, because when we marked this for the bend here, the bend that goes down, we marked it along this, and this weld that's sticking up on both sides is we're hanging up on that weld. So if we just drop it down a little bit, we won't be hanging up on those welds. So, you know, my main part of lifting this up was to try and cover up some of this ugliness, which we did. But with this cover, it covers it all the way up, so we can drop the radiator down. And then, yeah, actually then our thing here would fit, and we actually might have some more room with this cap, or less room, who knows. I guess let's mess with that. Okay, so Definitely need to order some more of this, as long as everything works and we're happy with it. Unfortunately, when I did this one, I put it on the bottom and not the top. This one, I actually put it on the top. So, no big deal. It's still going to hold the radiator like I want it to. It's just, you know, I don't know. For right now, there's going to be a gap at the top of this one. My bad. Hopefully everything here works out, and okay, so we got these on. This is the one that I actually put it on the top, and you can see, I mean, it is nice and tight. The radiator is not going anywhere. I think we do need to notch this out some more here because we dropped the radiator down some. So, but I think as of right now, I think everything is looking good. The radiator seems nice and tight. We need to order more of that foam. So I ordered some of this stuff here as well. It's the same stuff, same brand. It's just 3/4 of an inch thick. And I was thinking that we were going to use that down on the bottom to get rid of these. So, but since we dropped the radiator down, now that won't work. So I'm thinking that just a 1/4 inch down there will be fine. But we got to order some more of it. And I don't mind spending the money on it at all, but I'd really like to make sure that my buddy who owns this truck is okay with the way that I did this, before I spend any more money on that foam, because those 4 little blocks were $10. So, I mean, not a big deal. You know, I think 30 or 40 bucks, you know, we'll be able to, you know, do what we just did and have everything finished and done and nice and super stout and strong in there. I think we'll be good to go. So I have no problem spending the 30 or 40 bucks on it, but I'm not going to spend it and do it and then have him come over and say, I do not like that. So, he was over here last night, but he had brought somebody over with him. And so I didn't get no good feedback from him on whether or not he liked it or not. He was looking at it, but he didn't say nothing. And I don't know if he didn't say anything because his friend was here, or if he just liked it and wasn't saying anything. So I'll find out from him if that's a go before we spend any more money on it. And I think tomorrow we'll make that top piece fit a little bit better, and we'll get all the hood latch stuff cut out and drilled into it. And then we'll do our little go fast holes on it and get it all cleaned up. Nope, that won't happen tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday. That'll happen Tuesday. So we'll get that top piece finished up on Tuesday, and then we'll whip out a metal one real fast. I think the metal one will go much faster because we can cut everything in the shear, and much easier to bend, and we'll just put a little bead roll in it. It's not going to get any go fast holes or anything like that. At least I don't think. Maybe we'll put a couple in so that it matches the side pieces, But what I want to work on is I want to get some holes drilled in this piece, so that it matches the rest. We'll finish getting it sandblasted up and cleaned up, so that way my buddy can look at it and see if he likes it. And I'm thinking we'll get the metal one cut out and we'll put the bead roll in it and get it bent up so that he can take a look at that one. I don't want to go as far as like getting the mounting holes drilled and getting it mounted and getting, you know, the holes cut out for the hood latches and all that stuff until I know which one he wants to go with. I'm really hoping that he goes with the aluminum one because it matches everything else that's in there. If he ends up going with the metal one, which would be painted the color of the truck, we'll probably end up painting the other aluminum pieces so that they match the painted top. But we'll see. You know, I'll let my buddy that owns the truck make that decision. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm gonna work on right now, is drilling some holes in this, and then we'll see how that looks, and we'll go from there. Another thing that I need to get done is we need to get the inside of all those dash pieces that we made in the glove box stores and everything. We need to get the inside of those primed or painted or something. Just the last week, them sitting on the other side of the the other side of the shop curing, we've already got hot spots and everything on the inside. So we're gonna have to tape off all the edges, and we're gonna have to go throw them in the sandblast cabinet and sandblast them up without damaging anything. The main piece that we made that holds all the gauges and everything, I'm just planning on doing 2-in-1 inside there and making that black. But the inside of the glove box stores need to be primed because those are going to get painted blue. So, but yeah, let's get to it. I'm gonna mark out center. We'll figure out where we're gonna do all the holes. We'll mark all those, and then we'll start drilling them out. So here we go. Okay. So I really want to do it across here too, but this is not wide enough to make these holes match. So I don't think that we're gonna, do anything there, because, you know, I had talked before about making bigger holes across the top because we have this, you know, bigger area to work with, but I thought making the bigger holes would make it not match the rest. So if I was to do holes across the front, we would have to do smaller holes, and then not gonna match. So I'm almost thinking that that's it. All right. Well, oh, pain in my side. So I think that that's it for that piece, other than just throwing it in the sandblaster and cleaning it up, which there's really nothing to video for that, unless you guys just want to watch me stand there in front of the sandblaster. So we'll be back when we make the metal one. Like I said, we're just going to put a little bead roll in it, almost like we did with the steps. It's not going to have the 3 lines in there or anything. It's just going to be the rectangle box. And that's it. That's all we're doing with that one. It's not getting any holes or anything like that in it. So that one being metal, being that we're only just putting that one simple bead roll in it, that one should go much faster. This one took a little bit to make. Though I love working with aluminum because it's easy to kind of bend. Well, the bigger pieces weren't, but smaller pieces super easy to bend, super easy to drill holes in. You know, I like working with the aluminum, but metal is just much faster to work with. So we'll see you guys back here with the creation of the metal one. My buddy that owns a Jeep actually stopped by today, and he took a look at what we've got going on, and he gave me the thumbs up and said finish her up. So we're not going to make a metal one. We're just going to stay with this. He did ask if I could paint it black. So that's the ultimate, you know, finalization of these things. So we can go ahead and we'll put some marks on this so that we can get it back in the same spot, and we will remove this radiator so that we can get in and mark from underneath where like all the hood latches are and everything, and then we'll get those cut out, and we'll get this thing bolted in, and yeah, and then once everything's all bolted in, we'll get them painted. I'll come back in, we'll clean out the aluminum in the holes so that it looks nice and sharp, and yeah, just get make sure all the edges are rounded and cleaned up, and give us a little more room up here. I'm gonna round this up over here, and yeah, so that's good. We don't have to mess around with trying to figure anything else out. We got the go ahead on everything, and let's just continue working on it. Let's get it wrapped up. All right, so I got the radiator pulled out. I set this back on top. I had made some marks on each side to line up with. So first we're going to start with where the hood actually latches down at, and we're going to put a hole there. I'm going to use a hole saw. I went up one size from what's actually on the truck, just so that we're not, hopefully we're not interfering with what's on there. I should maybe go check it with the hood and make sure. Good. Okay, we went the next size up. Alright, I think that came out good. For minor measuring and just kind of eyeballing, So I think that that looks good. And the hole clears the spring. So that way, I really didn't want to go with that big of a hole, but I wanted to make sure that that spring wasn't hitting on this, because that would have just destroyed this piece after a handful of times of shutting the hood. So being that this is aluminum, now we got this square that we got to cut out. So I'm thinking we'll drill 4 holes, and then we'll use a little buzz saw to cut in between. Okay, I think that that looks pretty good. Let's pull this latch back out, and we'll mark the holes for that. So, only thing I see that we might have to do here, that's a little bit more. For one, there's 2 bowl holes here. We may end up bolting it down there as well. But this has this raised thing in here that is holding this up. And looking at the latch, there's nothing raised on the latch. There's no reason that that latch can't be bolted flat to this. So we may end up cutting this raised piece out and welding a flat piece in there, just so that this sits nice and flat in there. How do we do that? So there's just a little problem that I see is there's no, so what I'm thinking we're gonna have to do here is we're gonna have to make, like these 2 here, we'll drill these holes out bigger so that these actually bolt through it. They won't bolt it down, they'll just bolt through it. And then these 2 will hold it down, and we'll have to do the 2 on the outside that actually help hold it down. Because I need to be able to bolt this latch in, then put the radiator in, and then we can put the cover There's no way to bolt this cover down right now the way that it is and then be able to put the radiator in. So I think we're gonna have to go up in the size of holes so that these go through. So, and I think I'm gonna go up a couple sizes in these too so that we have a little adjustment, because it does look like it might be off just a hair over here. All right. Alright, I think we still need to adjust this guy over a little bit, but it's in, it's bolted down. Alright, so, as I was saying, we're bolted in. I think we could give a little bit more adjustment on this bolt over here. I think it needs to go that way just a hair. And then we'll be, I mean, and it's just like a 1/16 of an inch that it needs to go over. And then I think we'll be good. We still got to, you know, round up this edge a little bit so that, well, you know, just to give us a little bit more room on this cap. We're not hitting, but it's close. You know, this here is from that high spot that's right here that I was telling you that, you know, that there's that bump out there that I don't know what it's there for. I don't see any reason for it being there. And we may eliminate that little bump out. But I think the rest of it is pretty good. So, I think next time this is off, like I said, we'll make that a little adjustment in that bolt. We'll clean up this edge a little bit. Maybe we'll get this bolted down and we'll mark where these other bolt holes are here. Because if we got a bolt in there, that would pull that down. So, you know, we'll get those bolted in next time this is off. So tomorrow, you know, maybe we'll mess with that just so that this is finalized and it's done. But also, like I said earlier in this video, that we need to get the inside of those dashboard pieces primed or painted. So we'll probably work on that again tomorrow too. I don't want it to continue to get worse. So hopefully we can come out here, we can spend, you know, maybe an hour on this and get this wrapped up, and then we can jump over to those dashboard pieces. And then I think once we get through with that stuff, we need to do the gas tank float. Let's go take a look at the list real quick. We've been marking a lot of stuff off this list, so So headlight buckets, that just recently got added. Colleen had asked me like how the headlights mounted in there, because we were putting these brackets in on the side of the radiator. So we like kind of test fit those to make sure those brackets weren't interfering with the back of the headlights, which are not. We have plenty of room. But the back side of the buckets are black and it's faded and chippy, and so we're gonna scuff those up and clean those up, and we're gonna respray those black. So that's probably you know, that we'll throw that in the list here with finishing up the radiator mount top piece, the gas gauge, painting the back of the headlight buckets, and then after that, like, all that's on this list is sandblasting, metalwork, bodywork, prime, and paint. So we are at that. I think in the next couple of days here, you know, we're gonna have to start sandblasting. I've been watching the weather, so we're at the end of the year here. Like, we're in fall, I guess, but you know, winter's here. We've had a couple of days where, you know, it's under 30. I've already had the heat going, but you know, it's fall, all the leaves are falling, it's raining like every day or every other day. So we may be doing some of this sandblasting in here. I told Colleen earlier today that I wanted to go up to Menards to go grab some plastic, some actual like thick tarp style plastic, that we can tarp off a section in here, and be able to sandblast in here. That way I'm not out in the cold and I'm not out in the rain trying to sandblast. Obviously I can't sandblast in the rain, but with it being cold, any moisture that's coming through the sandblaster, it's just gonna freeze up. So yeah, so we're gonna do that. But I think, you know, I think this week, today is Tuesday, this week we will be looking into starting sandblasting. And you know, I think I've talked about this in other videos, but like, you know, I think we're gonna pull off like one of these fenders. We're gonna sandblast it again because it's just got hot spots. We're just gonna go through, clean up the hot spots, and body work all the inside stuff that we need to body work, and get the inside of that you know, the inside of here and the inside of here primed. And then we'll pull off that fender, we'll do the same thing. Then we'll pull off a door, we'll sandblast the door, we'll get the inside all body worked out, we'll get it primed. We'll pull off the other door, same thing. You know, we'll sandblast the inside of that hood, we'll get that body worked out, we'll get that primed. I would still like to be able to pull the truck out and get some pictures of it, but you know, we'll have to see. There's a lot of work that goes into just being able to pull it outside and get pictures of it in metal. For one, it doesn't run, so wherever it goes, it has to be towed. And then, you know, I would like for the pictures to look good, so I kind of got to go through and clean everything on the outside so that it's nice. There's no rust or, you know, leftover paint behind or anything like that, and it takes a lot of work. So undecided about that yet. There may just be too much work involved in trying to get some pictures of it in bare metal, but we'll see. Maybe worst case scenario, like when we get the hood sandblasted, we can throw the hood on and we can just pull it right outside here and maybe get some pictures of it just outside of the shop in bare metal. We're gonna try and wrap up that whole top core support piece that we made. we need to put a little more adjustment in one screw, and we're gonna cut that hump out and put a flat piece in, and we need to get a hole properly drilled in the right spot for that. And then we got to round up a couple of edges on it, and other than that, I think we're done with that. So as far as painting it goes, and hopefully, you know, my only concern with painting it is shutting the hood and opening the hood. Hopefully, you know, our spring latch setup doesn't hit it. Hopefully it clears, and you know, hopefully the little hook catch that's on there as well, you know, hopefully doesn't beat the heck out of it either. So, but other than that, you know, I think we're gonna wrap this up today and move on to the next thing. Thank God. So we need to move this bolt over a little bit, and then there's a hump under this bolt that we need to get rid of. Now, hopefully with getting this hump gone, this will set down flat on here then. Okay, so this is the hump that I've been talking about. So there's this hump in here, and everything that I've looked at, I don't see any reason for that hump to be there, and it's holding up what we're trying to do. So I'm gonna cut this out, and so this would be where that hump is, right here. And there's nothing here. There's not even a raise in this. So, you know, I think we're good to cut this out and it won't affect nothing. Okay, so we got everything cleaned up and we're ready to drill a hole here. I think the camera died somewhere in me marking out a piece for up here. And what I did was I just I added a small piece in here and welded it up and ground it down. Because where this sat on here, you could see through all the way down through. There was a small opening in there. When I originally made this, I made sure that I covered all that, but as we, you know, got everything to fit and, you know, drilled holes and cut out our circles and whatnot, this thing eventually moved forward some, which I'm okay with because it gave us room in here up against the radiator so that this isn't touching the radiator. You know, we made a template of it, we cut it all out, it fit perfect, and when we put the bends in, it was too tight of a fit, and it ended up getting scooted that way, just, you know, an eighth of an inch, which isn't much, but maybe a little more than an eighth of an inch. You know, it's not much, and it looks fine. We just had to make some slight adjustments along the way, and that was one of them. So let's drill our holes here. Alright, I think I'm happy with that. Radiator cap's a little tight, but it's not touching, so. Only thing I wish is that this side would stick down a little bit more. I mean, it's way better than it was. You know, we may have to maybe some double-sided sticky tape just to get it. I've tried bending it over my knees, you guys have seen. And yeah, it's just not bending. Try one more time. Fingers crossed that all works out. I think it looks good. Happy with it. Still didn't really close up that gap. I mean, we closed up the gap a lot by removing that high spot in here, by removing this piece. But you know, we little bit of a gap, but that's, like I said, like a piece of double-sided sticky tape would take care of that if, you know, if all else fails. So, you know, we're going around the edge of everything with that black door edge guard. My buddy said that he wants these black, so we're gonna do black here. And I'm thinking that like we'll follow this body line here, and we'll follow this. You can see this shadow line here, so we'll follow that shadow line down, and we'll do everything black underneath, so that way that this just blends in with the rest. Or you know, maybe we'll just tape this line here and we'll do this whole thing black, just so it all kind of blends in. You know, when you got two colors lining up against each other, you know, you'll see any gaps or flaws that are in the stuff. But if you do everything the same color, those gaps and flaws kind of fade in and disappear. So, you know, that little bit of that gap that we have up there, if it's all black, you won't see it. So, but that thing was this whole radiator support, and we still got a little bit more to do. We got to add the foam and the rest of the stuff. You know, we kind of test fitted the foam, but we still gotta finish up that foam. But for the most part, I think you know, I think this whole radiator core support, tie downs, hold downs, whatever you want to call them, is done, other than painting. So that was actually quite a bit of work, and wasn't the easiest work, but I think it looks good. We still got they had, prior to us, they had marker lights inside the grill, so that when you used the blinker, like the inside of the grill lit up and blinked. And he didn't want those in there. They're not factory. He didn't like seeing them when you look through the grill. So we got all those holes and stuff that we need to weld up still on the grill itself. There's a couple of cracks on each side that need to be welded up. But we'll do all that when we have the grill off the next time. So that's the last little bit of, like, I think welding and grinding and everything that we have on this truck is on that grill. You know, we still got a couple things that we got to work on the bed, like we got to install the floor and we got to install that back panel. That'll take some welding and grinding, but other than that, as far as everything goes here, we just have that little bit left on that grill. So, but I think I'm gonna take a break here, and then we're gonna take a look at this gas tank and see what we gotta do with this gas tank. So the new so you can see these holes here. The new one does not bolt in those holes, nor does it cover those holes. So I think we gotta go in, and we gotta clean out around those holes, and we gotta weld them up, and then we gotta put the new one in, and drill and tap some holes. So this was the old one that was in there. He said it worked, as far as I know, but you can see, like, that's a carburetor float off something or other that they just have wire tied around it. So we got this nice new one. This is a nice setup. So it might leave us with a bit of a reserve, but that's okay. Reserve is good. So the tank, They say that you want this float to sit about 1 inch from the bottom of the tank, and I think we're like 1 3/4 inches from the bottom of the tank, so it'll leave us with a little extra, but much nicer setup than what was in there. So I think we'll work on that next and get that knocked off the list. I think we can mark off the radiator supports. Like I said, other than painting them, they're done. I'm not gonna paint them till after the vehicle is done and we know that the hood's not gonna smack into anything and chip all of the paint off. You know, if I gotta make some adjustments in final assembly, we'll do that. But that's another thing marked off the list. And then, like I said, we gotta do the headlight buckets. I think we'll do that after the gas tank. So, and then on to sandblasting after that. All right, I'll be back. Ow! Oh man! Oh, right into the grease fitting. Oh! Oh! Oh, that's a fine how do you do. Oof. That was smart. Okay, so we're over here on the gas tank now. And there looks to be 6 holes. It looks like 2 of them are filled up with something or other. And it looks to me like nothing goes through. So we don't have to worry about like these being perfect welds. We probably don't even have to weld them at all. Because it doesn't go all the way through. It's just in this top ring. So now these new ones, they give us long screws. So I don't know if we're gonna try and find some shorty screws or make some shorty screws. Try not to kill my knee this time. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. All right. So change of plans. So what we got going on here is these new holes. Like we have this, pretty close to being centered in there. And if you look down through the holes, you only see half of this metal ring in each hole. And then the other half you're seeing down into the gas tank. So there is nothing that we could even screw this to. So it's a good thing that I went and grabbed this and we looked at it, because that is not going to work for us. So what we're gonna need to do now, I think, is we're gonna have to take like the 1/8 inch steel plate that we have, and we're gonna have to cut a circle out to fit this, and we're gonna have to cut the holes or drill the holes in it so that we can bolt that steel plate down and have a smaller hole in that steel plate that our new fuel gauge unit, fuel sender unit, whatever you want to call it, fits the new hole. So Alright, so change of plans. So I have some gasket stuff that I use to make gaskets. It's just some, I guess, I don't know, I would say cardboard gasket. So we'll use that. And so we'll find a hole saw that fits both things that we're trying to do here. We need to basically make a ring. So I'm gonna find the bigger hole saw that we need to cut the ring, and then the inner hole saw that fits the new piece. Then I don't know, we'll have to make a template or something, or you know, maybe once we get the ring actually made, maybe we can drop this in there. We can mark the holes and drill those out so that we're able to bolt that 1/8 inch plate to the thing. This might be an easier route, might be a harder route. I don't know. But let's grab some hole saws and see if we can find what we need here. All right. So change of plans again because I don't have the right hole saw. So I have the hole saw for the new one. That one we're good. It's this guy here. So he will be the center hole, but the outer hole of making a ring, what we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take a measurement of that ring that we need to make, and we're gonna have to, you know, say it's a 3-inch circle. We'll have to draw a 3-inch circle out on a piece of the 1/8 inch steel plate, and just use the whiz wheel and cut it out and grind it up and clean it up and make it into our circle that we need, and then come back with this and punch the hole in the center. So, yippee. So let me get the steel plate over here and clean up my area a little bit here, and we'll be back. Okay, so we got lucky. So this thing is almost exact of what we need. So that actually, I think that'll be a better circle. Let's see what it is. So the circle's 3 1/8 that we need. This is 3 1/16. I think we'll be good. This is like a 1/16 over 1/8. It's like 3 3/16. Alright, we're gonna let that cool off. That thing's super hot, so. Okay, well, while that was cooling off, I made a template that has our factory original bowl holes in it. There's supposed to be one here and one here. And originally I was thinking that it was, that they like filled it with some kind of schmutz, some gasket sealant or something. And I actually think that it's the screws that are broke off in there. So we got these 4 holes that we can mark out and drill out. I found some screws that fit in there. I don't have the original screws that were here, that was for that. My buddy that owns the truck is actually the one who took all this apart. So they are at his place, but they wouldn't work anyways because that is a piece of sheet metal. And this is you know, this is an 1/8 inch piece of steel. So those little screws that he has over at his place, I guarantee you they're not gonna work. So let's mark that off and remark those. I'll see how much room we got over here, and we're right on the edge over there, and that's what we just had, but it was opposite. Just keep marking them until I get them in a spot where I'm happy. Okay, got a drill bit. I think these screws that we have are too long. I'm gonna try and cut them down. Worst case scenario, I'll go up to Ace this weekend and we'll grab some shorter ones. Fingers crossed everything lines up. Okay, we got 3 of the 4. I'm gonna check, see if we can go up one size bigger on the drill bit, just to give us a little little leeway with these screws. We're so tight with them, like it's off just a hair, and it's not wanting to let the screws go in nicely. All right, I went up one more size on this, and I think that it'll just make it a little easier to get everything to screw in. It was a really tight fit. We had all 4 in there, but it was tight. And what I did was I went over there and I kind of wobbled out a couple of them with the drill bit that we used the first time, and see if I can find a nut or something that fit this screw, so we can see if we can find its tap. Okay, so I got a nut that fits it. Let's see if I have a tap. Alright, I'm gonna take this in, put my glasses on, see if I can read it, and see if I can find out what drill size we need for this. So it's just about time for me to call it a night on this project. We'll pick back up on it tomorrow. But I found a tap that fits this screw. I took just a small chunk of the 1/8 inch steel that was on the floor that we just cut off. Drilled a couple holes of different size drill bits, found out which one that I wanted to use. So we have the drill bit picked out, we have the tap picked out, and we just gotta drill all this out with the hole saw. Alright, so we're good with that. We just gotta drill those 5 holes, tap it, and then the bolts that bolt this plate down to the tank, we either need to get some shorter ones, or we need to short in the ones that we have. I will attempt to shorten those. But the problem with shortening them is that they're such a fine thread. It's kind of hard to just cut them with a whiz wheel and be able to thread them into what we need to thread them into. But we will try. We'll try and cut them off, and then we'll kind of round off the edge a little bit with some sandpaper or a file or grinding disc or something, and kind of try and taper the end of it a little bit, and hopefully we can make them work. And like I said, worst case scenario, I'll run up to Ace and we'll just grab some shorter ones. It'll be just a couple bucks. It's just I usually don't run out and do my errands till the weekends. So today's Wednesday, so if we were to go get some shorter screws, probably won't be till Saturday. So we will attempt to shorten them tomorrow, and if it doesn't work, then, you know, just wait a couple days and I'll go get some screws. But I think we have this piece made. Only other thing that we gotta get done is we gotta get these other holes drilled, and we gotta get it tapped. And like I said, when we held the new fuel, the fuel gauge unit up over the top of the existing gas hole that was there, I could see half of the tank through those holes, looking through there. So once we get these holes drilled in here using the drill press, you know, we'll punch them, we'll drill them out with the drill press, then we'll go over to the truck and we'll bolt this thing down where it needs to go, and then we'll drill through the tank, and then we'll come back and we'll tap everything. Maybe we'll bolt this down to the tank, and then we'll tap it on the tank so that way it taps the side of the tank as well. But yeah, so that's where we're headed, that's where we're going. That'll be tomorrow's adventure. So hope you guys enjoyed what we've done so far. You know, making this little ring. I think it'll work out awesome. We'll make a gasket for the bottom. The new piece came with the gasket for the top. So, yeah, and then I think we'll be all good. We're back out here on this ring that we were making last night. I switched out the drill bit. I center punched some holes. And we're going to try and get this drilled out. Hopefully, you know, they're centered enough that we'll be able to put the new piece in here and screw them right in. If not, we'll address that when that time comes. But let's get these drilled out, and then remember I was saying we need to get this piece mounted on the gas tank and drill through the gas tank, because half of the original gas tank ring shows up in the holes that we're about to drill. So well, I guess we could just shorten the screws. Maybe we'll just do that. Maybe we'll just shorten the screws. That way there's no gas that can come up through the screw hole. Let's do that. Let's just drill these holes. Let's get these drilled. And then we'll work on shortening the screws. We got to shorten the screws that go in these 4 holes, and we'll have to shorten these 5 too. So okay, so Now what I'm thinking, since we got those screwed in there, what we can do is we can cut this off and grind them flat, and then be able to take them out, and our threads will be all cleaned up. And then these holes here, we're gonna have to notch. We're gonna have to notch this top plate. So we'll have to make some marks, and we'll have to notch them out with the reamer. Okay, so now we're gonna notch out these spots so that these Allen heads can fit through. Okay, so we got one more thing to do with this gas gauge thing, and that is we still gotta make our gasket to go in between everything that we made just now and the tank itself. But it is bolted in. I'm happy with everything except for this coming out this way. I mean, you know, it looks fine and it'll be fine, but I would have rather had this coming out this direction. But there's nothing I can do about it now. The way that those 5 bolts bolted in there, like, it's not like a lug pattern of a vehicle where each one is equal distance from each other. They look like they are, but they're not. That bolts in a specific way. It bolts in one way and one way only. And I didn't know that when I was making this. So the way that I would have had to know that from the very beginning. And I didn't know. There's no instructions to this thing. There's nowhere that it says that it's one direction only. So there's no way that I could have known that. That being said, like, even if I was to go back and remake that bottom plate, we already notched out the marks for the Allen keys. Those are set, those are done. It can only go that direction. So the only other thing that I could do would be to, you know, remake that whole bottom plate, adjust it to where that wire is going out the front like I want it, and then we would have to make new notches in that piece that we just bought, that the float. We would have to make two new notches. So those new notches, those old notches that are there, there's nothing we can do about those. Those are there now. So there would be an extra set of notches in there, which, you know, if you guys remember watching me, like, I spun that around to where those notches landed where they did. Like, I was spinning it in a couple different directions, and those notches were like landing up where we had a screw. Like, everything is just kind of set where it needed to be set. So the main thing is that it would have those extra notches in there, which I don't want for the, you know, for just a wire going the wrong direction. It's not worth me remaking everything, having an ugly set of notches in there that don't belong there. You know, I think I would have to buy a new float and start over from scratch, and just make sure that wire was facing the right direction from the start. I don't think it's that big of a deal that we have to go through all that. It just kind of, it is what it is. You know, I think it came out awesome. Everything fits, it works, it'll be functional. I don't think that we'll have any gas leaks after we get a gasket made. It's just that wire's kind of facing the wrong direction. But who's to say it's facing the wrong direction? I'm the only one saying that at the moment. I'm sure you guys watching the video, you'll be like, hey, that's facing the wrong way. But it is what it is. So I'm gonna make a gasket for it. I guess I can video making that. It's not really nothing special. So I have this stuff. It's just it's gasket in a roll. It is actual automotive gasket. I don't remember where I got this. I've had it for a long time. I'm pretty sure you can get this stuff on Amazon. We have our original disc that we made this whole thing with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on here, and we're going to trace it out. Excuse me, I took that drink of coffee and now I'm all burpy. So we're gonna put it on here. We're gonna trace it out with the magic marker. We'll cut it out with some scissors. We'll poke some holes in it, and then we got to poke a hole in the center for, you know, the whole unit to drop down through it. So it's pretty simple to make. You just cut it out with razor blade. Cut it out with a razor blade or scissors. I have now the center one we'll just have to cut with the razor blade. The little holes for the bolts, I actually have a punch set for that, so we'll use the punches. It's actually a leather tool. You can get them from Harbor Freight. You guys have seen them in past videos. I use them for coining metal. I've modified some of them. Alright, we're gonna get this assembled and we can mark this guy off the list. Kind of disappointed that the way the wire is facing, but nothing we can do about it now. I'll get over it. Those guys are on one direction as well. Man, everything was just one directional. Maybe we'll just stick a piece of tape over this so that it stays in place. Okay, I'm good with it. Let's go mark this off the list. Gas gauge off the list. Okay. Next thing that we're going to work on. So remember I said I got to spray the inside. I got to prime the inside of the glove box doors. And we're going to spray the inside of that lower dash piece where the gauges and keys and everything go. We're going to spray that with some 2-in-1 inside there. And we'll probably do those at 2 separate times because they're going 2 separate colors, of course. But we'll do the dashboard piece and the headlight buckets at the same time because they're going to go black. So we'll do those 2, and then we got to do the inside of the glove box doors. What else was on? I could have swore there was something else on here. Maybe not. Maybe it was a gas gauge and headlight buckets. Yeah. Okay. So that'll be where we're going next. It'll be headlight buckets and the dashboard piece, and then the inside of the glove box doors. And then it's back to sandblasting and body work. And like I said in the previous couple of videos, as we get one piece sandblasted, we will body work it out. We will get it primed. That way we have no more hot spots coming back through, and we will just keep moving forward on it. Alright, we'll be back. I think it's lunchtime. Yep. So, see you guys after lunch. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.
Oop.